What is going on? Brian Carroll here, PowerXStrength.com HQ, coming to you from beautiful Jacksonville, Florida. I want to wish every one of you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let's get to the point of this video. COVID-19 has been a part of our lives for about 2 years now, and there's been some interesting things that have happened. And I'm going to talk about situations that I've encountered. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not giving anyone medical advice. I'm just giving you examples of what have happened with my clients, friends, and people that I've interacted with over the last 2 years concerning COVID-19 and back pain. Okay, so this is a different type of video, and this is just observational, and I'm going to give you some of my thoughts. Some people that I've worked with have gotten the vaccination for COVID-19, and their whole body hurt at times. Their back pain came back when it hasn't been an issue for a long time. And then as soon as the other side effects subside that people have had from the jab, then their back pain goes away. Others who have gotten sick with COVID-19 that aren't vaccinated have had severe back pain during the time, once again, that they had the COVID-19 symptoms. Once that wound down, their other symptoms, their back pain went away. Now keep in mind, these were people that I was currently working with. 3 in particular were not vaccinated. They got COVID, they tested positive, and they had really bad back pain, almost as if they got re-injured, but they weren't. So after a little bit of time of treating their COVID, their back pain went away, and then they jumped back into their training after a couple weeks of rest. So these are also people that aren't quite healed. These are people with disc bulges and annular tears and such that are, 3, 6, 9 months post-injury, still healing. It can take a year, year and a half for a disc to completely heal. It just depends on the person. So their symptoms came back kind of randomly, and it took me by surprise. But after a while, I started collecting some data on people, and I kind of found some correlation there. We know that viruses can flare up back pain, but there's always already a mechanical injury there. They don't just get the sickness or the virus and then their back pain their back get injured, or they get a disc bulge from the virus. I'm not saying that at all. You have to have a mechanical cause already, but also there's something to be said here for the people that don't have back pain to begin with, that become sedentary, that when they're resting for long periods of time, they're typically on their feet, they're not super sedentary, and when they become sedentary, laying on their back, we know how the discs in your back get their nutrients from when you're laying down through osmosis. The discs get hydrated and are fed nutrients, and when you get up and walk around, the discs dehydrate a bit, the back loosens up a little bit, and that's why some people feel their worst in the morning. So even people with a healthy spine, if they lay down too much or become sedentary, their back can begin to hurt. Doesn't mean they have a disc bulge, it just means they might have some stiffness. So there is a difference there. So on the other hand, we have another set of people that I've worked with, people that had a nice disc bulge or two, that were in pain, that had jobs that required them being on a construction site or supervising in a warehouse, so on and so forth. The standing bothered them, compressive forces, sitting in a construction truck on a job site, being a foreman or a contractor, in a vibrating big heavy truck. Seated vibration is a very common cause of back pain, especially if you have a disc bulge. I've had a couple people that were forced to take time off due to COVID last year, right when it kind of hit everybody, myself included, and him being off of work for 3 weeks, him resting, him doing the virtual surgery, as we call it, not doing anything and gradually working into exercise as the energy in his body allowed him. He's been a year post his last episode of back pain before COVID came on, because he's able to rest to get ahead of the injury a little bit. We're already working on rehabbing and such, but him getting COVID and making him rest for about 3 weeks was the turning point for him. Everyone's going to be a bit different. Now, keep in mind, the people that lay down too much suddenly can get stiff. So for those people, it might be a good idea, if you're laying down for too long, get out and walk. Don't stretch your back, just get out, go for a walk. do some light exercising, and let your body do its thing. Don't force it. So there's people that have had some unique situations with COVID-19. We have seen people's back pain flare up when they had either the injection, the vaccination, or people that got COVID. Me in particular, I had COVID. My back pain never returned. I would get stiff overall throughout the day from laying in the bed for about a week straight, but I can't say my back pain ever returned. I just got stiff from top to bottom from eating too much junk food, from being lazy, but that kind of comes along with it. And once I started to get exercising again, I felt great. And I had COVID July 4th of 2020, and I recovered pretty quick. But one thing I want to note is I had a lot of stress in my life last year. I had twin babies being born in March of 2020, and then I tore my pec in April. I'm sorry, the babies were born in April. I tore my pec right before they were delivered. We had this stuff going on with COVID. Everyone's stressed. They ended up having shingles. And then I had COVID. And then I tore my bicep 2 months later. So I think that I may have come back too quick from my COVID sickness. That was July. I trained for August. And then I tore my bicep in September. But I also think that I potentially hypercompensated and healed extra good once I gave myself enough time, because a month after the bicep tear, I was stronger than ever. So about 2.5 months post-COVID infection or diagnosis, I squatted the biggest squat of all time. So a lot of this stuff is tricky. There's a lot of misinformation out there. People get confused, but we have seen a correlation of some people's back pain coming back, especially if they're still healing. We've also seen some people that once they rest, they get better. But remember, the goal is not too much rest, not too much exercise when you deal with the back. Don't stretch your back, let it settle, go for a walk. And if you have any more questions about this, reach out to me, and thank you so much.